Hi, I'm Town Administrator Andy Sheehan. Welcome to this week's video. This is the week of October 26th, 2020, recording it on Monday afternoon, the 26th. So in this week's video, I'm going to talk about the ongoing repairs at Essex Street, and it also presents an opportunity to talk a little bit more generally about public works. So last Thursday, October 22nd, we had a call that there was a sinkhole on Essex Street. Chief DG went out and took a look at it, immediately closed the road out of concern for what he saw on the site. By Friday, the entire road was open from curb to curb. The entire road had collapsed in that area. There is an old corrugated metal pipe that carries Emerson Brook under that section of Essex Street. The pipe had rotted and the road collapsed essentially under its own weight as the water that flows through there undermined the road. So working with our Public Works Superintendent Paul Goodwin and Deputy Superintendent Ken Gibbons, our contractor Grenice and Sons began mobilizing to make the repairs. They worked over the weekend. They had stone brought in, they had new sections of concrete pipe brought in. And the first challenge was clearing out the trench for the new work, but getting out the unsuitable material that was in there. The most significant of which was the remains of the corrugated metal pipe that was in the ground. They had to struggle to get that out without damaging any of the underground utilities in the area, but they were able to do that. But that took a good portion of the day on Saturday. They put in stone on the bottom for a stable, level base, and then they began to install the pipe. Pipe comes in sections, and they're doing two side-by-side pipes under the ground there. So it is Monday afternoon right now. I was out there about an hour and a half ago. They're still working. With a little bit of luck, the work will be done and the road will be reopened by the end of the day on Tuesday. We never quite know what we're going to get into when we have a project like this. So lots of things can go well, lots of things can go not so well. And we rely on the experience of our public works people. And we rely on the experience of our contractor to help us through this. So it does present an opportunity also to talk about the more general activities that Public Works is involved in. Obviously, they're ready to respond to an event like this, but this is certainly not the day-to-day. The day-to-day is maintaining about 60 miles of roadway. That includes sanding and plowing in the wintertime, maintaining our sidewalk network, maintaining the public water system and ensuring that the public water meets all of the water quality requirements, maintaining the Oakdale Cemetery and the parks and playgrounds and assorted things like that. So much of this happens without a lot of fanfare, without a lot of notice. But you sure would notice it if it wasn't happening. So while the Essex Street repair project was going on over the weekend, Public Works was also operating the transfer station, which they do every weekend and on Wednesdays. So that happened without any hiccups. They're also helping on Saturday with the operation of the Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day at the former golf course at 105 South Main Street. During the course of the year, they've been involved in a number of higher profile projects. We repaved Ryer Lane and Devonshire Road, and they also worked with a contractor to oversee the reconstruction of the Maple Street, Liberty Street intersection. So while we're talking about Public Works, it's worth talking about how these various projects and activities are funded. This year, fiscal year 2021, the Public Works budget is about $2 million in total. And again, that covers public roads and sidewalks, winter operations, water, cemeteries, parks, playgrounds, all of that. In addition to the local funds that we put in, that $2 million that we put into their operating budget, they also receive what is known as Chapter 90 money. Chapter 90 money is named after the section of the chapter in the state law that makes these funds available. And these funds are available for activities related to the maintenance and improvement of public roads. So again, that's 60 miles of public road in Middleton. And there's a formula that determines how much each city and town gets in Chapter 90. And that formula is based on road miles, population, and employment in the community. So each year for the past several years, Middleton has received around, or a little over $300,000. So we make the most of it. It doesn't provide all of the funding that we need, obviously, but we make good use of it for roadway work. We do budget for the unexpected, but we can't budget for something like this Essex Street repair, which is expected to go well over $100,000. So we'll fund this repair with a variety of funding sources. We'll use some of that Chapter 90 money that I mentioned. We'll use some of our budgeted funds for this. And then the balance we will probably fund either with a reserve fund transfer from the Finance Committee or with a supplemental appropriation from town meeting later in the fiscal year. Could be at the annual town meeting in May, or if there's a special town meeting before that, it could happen at that time. So the situation at Essex Street has given us an opportunity to talk a little bit about Public Works and what they do. They do excellent, important work for us. So if you have a chance, join me in thanking them for the work that they do. A couple of updates that I want to provide to everybody today. A reminder that next Tuesday, November 3rd, is the presidential election. Early voting has been ongoing since a week ago Saturday, continues this week through Friday of this week. So Monday through Thursday, the hours for early voting are 9:30 to 3:30, and on Friday it's 9:30 to 12:30. And early voting again takes place at the Flint Public Library. So whether you vote early, you vote absentee, or you vote in person on November 3rd, the important thing is to please make sure you exercise your right to vote, no matter who you're voting for, what your party affiliation, what your political leanings, just get out and vote. So I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, town meeting. We had initially planned to have a town meeting this fall. We were looking mid-November at a town meeting. We've decided to cancel that town meeting. The town meeting was to take up some of the items that we kept off of the annual town meeting back in the spring, as well as a few other things that have come up during the course of the year. However, in light of the recent increase in COVID-19 cases, we thought that it was appropriate to cancel the special town meeting, and we'll roll everything forward to either the annual town meeting in May or perhaps an earlier special town meeting. So we'll have more about that, whatever that happens, however that comes to be, whether that's the annual meeting or a special town meeting. We'll have more about that as that comes into focus. So, and speaking of COVID, I know people are tired of it. We've been living with it since March. It's over 7 months now. It's draining. It's just exhausting. We all feel it. Unfortunately, Middleton is seeing an uptick in cases. We're seeing an uptick nationally. We're seeing an uptick in Massachusetts, and we're not immune to it here. We had been at roughly one case for a number of weeks. We're now at 6 active cases. So, and these are in the at-large community. So we really need to be vigilant. Wear a mask, keep your distance, wash your hands. It's pretty low impact, but it can have a great impact. So thank you for that. Now for today's quote, public discourse right now is very intense, and there seems to be little regard for differing opinions. So today's quote speaks to that. It comes to us from American linguist Noam Chomsky, and the quote goes like this, quote, "If you believe in freedom of speech, you believe in freedom of speech for views you don't like," unquote. So, really what it boils down to is my freedom of speech is no greater than yours, nor is yours any greater than mine or anybody else's. So that's the beauty of America. We all have the same right to freedom of speech. So please email me with any topics you'd like me to address in any of these videos. You can reach me at andrew.sheehan@middletonma.gov. Thanks as always to Adam Stone and Paul Pellicelli from Middleton Public Access. And until next time, be safe and be well. Thanks.